State v. Thomas Shifflet, who's with attorneys John P. LaBelle and Sky Petty. Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Rob Driscoll is here on behalf of the state. And you've got a motion to modify bond here, Mr. LaBelle.
Yes, Your Honor. Everything is set forth in the proposed journal entry. The agreement that I talked about with Mr. Keller Blackburn is that Mr. Shifflet be released on a $500,000 OR bond secured by the signature of himself, his wife, Beverly Shifflet, who's in the courtroom, his daughter, Jody Darth, who's also in the courtroom, his daughter, Tammy Gura, who's in the courtroom.
Where's Tammy Gura? Okay. Somebody else?
Yes, and Becky Oski, his other daughter, who's also
here. Oh, there you are. Okay.
And that he stay away from the two daycares that are operated by these daughters, that he subject himself to a number of other conditions, including electronic monitoring. And we've talked to Jeff Mayle, the constable, about that and made arrangements to have that hooked up and hidden at Mr. Shifflet's expense. It'll be accomplished, as I understand it, tomorrow morning. In the terms of monitoring would be such that he could not go near the address of 1701 Montserrat Ridge Road and 1702 Montserrat Ridge Road. Mr. Shifflet suffers from some debilitating medical conditions, Your Honor, and there was an ultrasound, a renal ultrasound scheduled the Thursday that he was arrested, and it concerns a stent that's placed in his kidney, and the family's trying to reschedule that ultrasound, which is very important to his health. And by being released from custody, obviously he can do that at his expense rather than at the county's expense. Mr. Shifflet's 74 years old, a lifelong resident of the county, no prior record. I've been married for over 50 years, a family of 5. Never been before a court of law on any allegation before, much less something like this. And I can assure you, I think Mr. Shifflet will appear at every stage of the proceeding. He has nowhere to go, even if he chose to go somewhere. So we would ask the court to approve this reduction of bond. Concerning the trial date, Your Honor, as I explained off the record, I have a long-standing commitment to be out of state in October, and I've explained that to Mr. Shifflet. He is willing to waive his speedy trial rights for a continuance of the trial, and a date that was suggested was in December, and that seems to accommodate everyone's schedule.
Okay. Very good. Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's my understanding of the agreement. The state has no objection to continuance either.
All right, very good. And I noticed that you signed this proposed journal entry, Mr. Driscoll.
I have.
And Mr. Shifflet, are you agree with your attorney there to have your speedy trial deadline waived until December 13, which would be the trial date?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Why he needs?
Yes.
You are willing to?
Speak up and say yes for the court. Yes.
You're willing to have your speedy trial deadline waived till told until December 13th?
Yes.
All right. So that's we'll continue the speedy trial deadline, and that's the trial date December 13. That's a Tuesday. Monday the 12th. I want to meet with counsel, and let's do that at 9 o'clock. That way we'll get to be ready for the following day. And now we're going to keep the final pretrial that was set on December 14 at 2 o'clock, and the arraignment.
September or December?
No, I'm going to keep the final pretrial on September 14th, as previously said. And then I'll probably want to have a final meeting, final pretrial, whatever you want to call it, in October, November, so that we can stay on track with this thing. And I know that you're waiting on DNA tests, Mr. Driscoll.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I want to talk to the daughters, and Mrs. Shifflet, are you willing to be obligated to pay $500,000 if Mr. Shifflet doesn't come up for trial? Ms. Shifflet?
Yes.
Ms. Oski?
Yes.
Ms. Gura? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
And your name? I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Jody Durf.
Ms. Durst, are you willing to
Yes.
pay $500,000 too?
Yes.
And the financial arrangements have been exchanged, on electronic monitoring, have been explained.
They have, Your Honor. I've explained to the family it's like $340 up front and $270 per month. They're going to walk up to the clerk's office and pay it and give Mr. Mail a receipt, and then make arrangements to have the monitor program.
So they'll pay the $340 plus 1 month in advance? Is
I
that
think
what
it's
we're
just the
doing?
$340.
The 340 includes the 1 month in advance.
Or does it? Okay.
Yes, it's a $70 connection fee plus $270 for the first month.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Okay, the court will, since this has been agreed upon, then we'll modify bond to $500,000 to be signed by Mr. and Mrs. Shifflet and Ms. Dirth, Ms. Oski, and Mrs. Gura. And the electronic, must be under the electronic monitoring and pay for the money up front every month. Pay the deposit, of course, and he's restricted from accessing all daycare facilities. He's to have no contact with any minor children without their parents' consent. He's to have no contact with the complainant herein or with any family members of the complainant. And should he violate any of these conditions, of course, the state can seek immediate revocation of bond and cause his custody. So we'll continue then the trial date to December 13th, as we've already talked about, holds the trial deadline till then.